Hey guys, and welcome back. So I want to start off this video by showing you this ginkgo tree that actually grows in my backyard. It's a really cool tree. It's actually considered an ancient living fossil. It's part of a division of trees called ginkgo phyta, and this is actually the only species that's still alive. And I guess the fossils date back to 270 million years ago. So these were around when the dinosaurs were around. It's a really cool tree. It's native to China. And they use the leaves and the berries, which are now dropping on the ground, and they stink once they're rotted. But they use these for herbal teas, medicines, and all kinds of things in Northeast Asia and China and so forth. So pretty cool. I just want to show you guys that real fast. So today I wanted to show you guys the bow drill. It's been requested quite a bit. So I want to make a video showing you guys how to make a bow drill and how to use the bow drill method to make fire. Pretty much all you need is a bow. So this is actually a piece of red maple that I cut down in my backyard. I live in the middle of the city, so it's really hard for me just to go out in the woods and find dead wood all the time. So I have wood laying around the house. And for beginners, as a beginner video, I would really recommend you guys making it as easy on yourself as possible. So find some wood around your house, preferably a little bit softer wood than your spindle. Oops, forgot my spindle. So this is, again, red maple that I cut down and I made this spindle out of. I'll have to show you guys how to make these in a different video, otherwise this is going to be an hour long. But pretty much all you need is your spindle. It should be about 8 inches long, usually about thumb to pinky. You'll need a hearth board, so I'm using red maple for my spindle and then cedar for my hearth board. And then a bow. Your bow is going to be about arm's length from armpit to the extension of your fingers. And it's helpful to have a little bit of bow in it. I don't think you necessarily need it, but it does help keep friction away from the spindle. And then you need a rock or a really hard piece of wood with a notch in it that you can use. I got my hands full here. That you can use for a socket. So this is actually a piece of chert that I showed you guys in another video. If you guys want to check that out, it's under my other videos. But actually it has a small notch in it that I can use that for a socket. But I'm actually just going to use a 2x4 just to show you guys that you can really just use stuff around your house. So the basics are pretty much that's all you need. I kind of want to show you guys the technique of this video. It took me a long time, to be honest with you, to get an ember. I was learning for myself and taught myself, and it was really frustrating and discouraging. There's a lot of things that I did wrong as far as putting way too much pressure, not having my bow tight enough. I also used to use a way fatter spindle. You can see the difference in the spindles. I would recommend a smaller spindle, and also when you start bowing to use the full length of the bow. You're going to get more RPMs out of a smaller spindle, and you also don't have to put as much downward pressure. If you're using a bigger spindle, a fatter spindle, you got to put a lot more pressure because there's more surface area to get an ember. So I would recommend using a smaller spindle. So let's go ahead and get set up, and I'll show you guys the technique. So the first thing you want to do when making your spindle, you're obviously going to start with a fresh piece of wood, such as this. This is that red maple that I cut down. Again, you're going to want about 8 inches. You're going to cut this all the way down until it's about thumb width, or the width of your thumb. And you're just going to shave most of the bark off it. And pretty much what you want is a straight spindle, so keep checking it, lay it on a table, and get it as straight as possible. And one end that's going to fit in the socket, you want that to be pointy. The reason why is you don't have as much friction on the pointy part because there's less surface area than you do on the blunt part on the bottom that actually creates the ember. So I've got this one pretty straight. Again, you just want to carve that away until you get it straight. You don't want any lumps or anything like that in it. And then the next thing you want to do is get your board, and you're just going to use your knife and make a small notch, just big enough. You don't want to dig too deep, especially with this softwood. But you just want to take your knife and round it out until you get a small notch that will fit your spindle or your drill. Usually what I like to do is, instead of staying in the center and digging that deeper, I'll put it on different spots of the hole, or your divot for your spindle. It doesn't have to be beautiful or perfect, but that's pretty much what I have there. You just want to make sure your spindle will fit inside and rotate easily without jumping out. here. Use a little bit more work, but I think I'm just going to leave it like that. Alright, so I'll set you up on the ground and we'll get started. Alright, so again, I have my fireboard or hearth board with the notch that we just cut into it. I have my spindle, which, by the way, if this ground is damp at all, you don't want to lay your stuff on the ground, but I'm just showing it for video purposes. I have my big 2x4 socket and then my bow. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your spindle. What I like to do is go from the outside underneath the rope, bring it up, and then back down over, and that way your spindle is on the outside of your rope. A lot of people ask how tight it should be. To be honest, if you make it too tight where the string is just barely able to make it, it's going to make it really hard for you to hold that in place. So you should be able to hold that in place without it jumping out, without my fingers on it. But it's still pretty tight enough where you can hear it cinch down on the wood. I think that's probably a perfect tightness. So for right now, we're going to do the burn-in, which you're not going for an ember right now. You're just burning in the hole, just like the one you can see over here, but I'm going to start a new one. And pretty much you want to put your foot, the arch of your foot, almost right next to that hole, because what you're going to do is you're going to use this socket and put it right up against your shin, and use your shin for leverage. So we're going to put that in there, put that on that little divot, and just slowly start bowing. A big mistake I first made all the times, I was burning myself out because I just thought you have to go as fast as you possibly can, but that's not the case. Right now, we're just doing a burn-in, but even when you are going for an ember, you want to start off slow and build up heat. You should be able to breathe throughout the whole process, otherwise you're going to get burnt out really quick. So just use forward and back strokes using the whole length of the bow. I like to put my thumb on the string. I just feel like it's more stable for me, but some people hold it up here. It just feels awkward to me. It like bounces around. So I like to put my thumb on the string. And again, we're just going nice and slow. We're not going too fast. And here, you're starting to get smoke. Alright, so that's pretty much your burn-in. I'll show you guys in the camera right here, as long as the wind doesn't blow it away. Yeah, that really nice fine dark dust. It's not quite black yet, so what you really want is black dust. If you're starting off and having really light dust, what you need to do is get the smoke going. You need to remove the spindle and let that smoke and that moisture out of there. And you'll notice you do it more and more, about 4 or 5 times, and you'll start getting darker and darker dust until you get the black dust that you want. So I'll try and keep that on there and show you guys how much darker the dust gets. God, my voice is cracking here. Another big thing too, it seems small, but if anything is in your way, for me at least, it absolutely drives me nuts. And it really cuts down your progress. Seems really small and stupid, but it made a big difference to me when I'm hitting stuff with the bow and grass is in my way. It's irritating when you can't get an ember, and that's the one thing that's just so annoying. Another big mistake too is a lot of people say you have to push down really, really hard, which we're not going for the ember right now anyway. But when I was first starting, I was pushing down as hard as I could, and it just made it way harder on myself. I was throwing my shoulder out. I was getting super tired really quick. So you don't want to do that. You just, in the beginning, you just want to add enough pressure where the spindle stays in there and get your rotations. Alright, so we got smoke again. See the bottom of that. So I'm actually going to cut some of that off so we have some fresh wood to burn. And make friction with, because when it gets dark like that, it gets too polished and it will just start rotating and squeaking really bad. And man, that squeaking is annoying. I'm not going to cut it all off. I'm just going to get that polished dark pieces off. Alright, so that's what I'm left with. Now we're going to go ahead and cut the notch. So for the notch, you want it to be almost to the sides, and you're going to cut about an 1/8 inch out until it looks like a piece of pie. So let me do that real fast and I'll bring you back. Alright, so you can see here I marked the sides and then the top as well, so you can see that kind of pie look that we're going to cut that notch out. Alright, so there you can see the notch cut. Not the most perfect notch, but it'll work. Now I'm just going to use a leaf or just something random to put underneath to catch the amber with. So I'll get set up back over here and we'll get started. Alright, so you're going to want to put your leaf or a small chunk of wood or something just underneath the fireboard, right underneath that notch to catch that ember. Got my drill and my bow and my socket. And again, we're not going to start bowing out like crazy. We're going to go nice and slow. You should be able to breathe through it. And all we're doing right now is trying to fill that notch up with black dust. Because when that notch fills up all the way to the top, the rotations of the spindle will eventually ignite that black dust when it reaches the top. So no matter how much smoke we get right now, we need to fill that notch up. So again, you should be able to breathe through this. You should be able to talk through it. It should not be too hard. Once you see that notch start filling up, then we're going to go faster. You're also pushing down harder as well. Alright, we have an ember. Just going to slowly let it bounce out of that notch without breaking it apart. As you can see, we have an ember. Alright, so I'm going to put this down on the table right here. You can watch it build. It's just going to keep smoking. You want to let it build for a minute. It's going to build into a tighter and more hotter ember. I'm going to grab some pine needles for tinder. If I give it some air and blow on it, you'll be able to see. It's a pretty substantial coal. Alright, sorry I had to switch the camera angle here. So we still have the same ember. We're going to get our tinder bundle or pine needles. I'm just going to gently drop it in there. Hopefully it stays in one piece. There we go. Just gently close it on itself. Give it some air. Hope you can see that. Sorry if I'm out of the frame. Get some more pine needles here. Alright, and we have fire. Alright, so that's the bow drill method. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. I'm sure this is not as detailed as I wanted it to be. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this video. It helps me out a ton, and I'd love to hear your guys' comments and answers, and I'd love to answer any questions that you guys have. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. As always, spend some time outside. It's good for you.